Okay, so can we talk about the Trojan War real quick? I think a lot of people know the story of the Trojan horse, within the Trojan War. It's one of the more popular historical stories that you stumble into. Also, Greek mythology is pretty cool. Anyways, the story of the Trojan horse is honestly one of the last events that happens in the entire war. According to Homer, who writes about this in the Iliad and the Odyssey, the war lasts a total of 10 years. Let's talk about Homer real quick while we have the chance. Homer, some people don't know if he's one person or if he's multiple people that all kind of blend these stories together. For the sake of argument, we're going to say that he's just one guy. Homer is writing about the story of the Trojan War hundreds of years after it actually happens. In fact, after the Trojan War, it pretty closely coincides with the Bronze Age collapse, where civilizations just completely fall off the table. Ancient Greece will go into a 400 or so year Dark Age span. Homer is writing about this when you have this rebirth in this more classical age of Greece. Now, another problem with the Trojan War, some people don't even know if it existed. There is some archaeological evidence that proves that there's a Troy and that something would have happened there. One of the early problems is the early archaeologist that discovers Troy. He's a German archaeologist in the 1960s, Heinrich Schliemann. His ethics in archaeology aren't great, and some of the stuff just completely gets thrown out, so unfortunately, there could be some evidence that's missing. Thankfully, we have modern day archaeology. That's a story for a different day. I honestly will start in the Wayback Machine to how the Trojan War starts. Again, you have to weasel your way through what is Greek mythology and what is real. So, you have Achilles, Greek mythology, King Agamemnon, who is present during the Trojan War, at least that's what Homer writes. He really is the king of Mycenae. You can see his death mask on Google Images. Super cool. The story really starts, though, in Greek mythology. At least that's where we'll start. You've got this wedding. Eris, who is the goddess of quarrels or small arguments, she's not invited to this wedding. Thousands of years before the movie Wedding Crashers happens, she decides to crash the wedding. She brings a golden apple. She goes to where some of the Olympians are basically seated at, puts it on the table and says, the golden apple goes to who is the fairest of them all. Fairest meaning good looking. So you have Hera, Aphrodite, and Athena. Now Zeus is supposed to judge this competition. He bows out, says no way. He picks this guy Paris of Troy, and he doesn't know who to pick. So they will basically each bribe them. Athena says you will be the wisest person. Hera says you're going to be all-powerful and almighty and all of this good stuff. Aphrodite says, I will give you the most beautiful woman in ancient Greece. That is Helen, who is a Spartan queen. Paris takes debate on Helen. He will kidnap Helen and bring her to Troy, thus starting the Trojan War. There's plenty more to say on that, but per always, hopefully you learned a little bit. Love you all.